strategies here. I'm expecting, especially with first pick, maybe a Bologna pick for themselves here, but they could also leave Osiris and Bologna open and pick one or the other.
I still like the commitment to banning away the Najah. It's such a favorite pick for Skeleton especially. You know that that's one of his go-tos in the jungle. You might as well take that aspect away from him.
Najah is always one of these annoying gods that you don't want to deal with. Even if Najah gets behind, you're really looking for the ultimate taking somebody out of a team fight. Osiris will be banned away, and if Noble doesn't ban Bologna, I'm kind of expecting a first pick from Flashpoint.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think that it could be a very strong first pickup for Flashpoint if they're able to acquire it. But on the side of Noble, they are looking to just take away the Susano. They are feeling way too threatened, banning this 2 games in a row.
I mean, Mirage, despite having a less than average performance on the Nemesis, Susanoo is one of these gods that has so much mobility that you just don't want to deal with. So a lot of respect from Noble, but it will be the Bologna first pick here.
And that's really the strong look for Flashpoint. Give Walrus something that he doesn't have to fall behind within lane. Sun Wukong, granted, is a very strong solo lane god, but when you're put into such an early disadvantage, it becomes incredibly difficult to try and work that one out. I do like the response, though, from Noble, immediately opting for the Ganesh, and I'm hoping that that's a Robin jungle, just because scaling on these warriors is looking good.
More than likely should be going for Skeleton. He's been having such a diverse god pool, even with Oxygen Supremacy when he played like 6 different gods in the first 6 games played. It was just an absolute monster here. Camazot's going to get locked in for Flashpoint. Should be going here for Mirage, so that's some early game aggression from Flashpoint this time.
Early game aggression, what I also really like about Flashpoint is Camazot has that single target chase down possibility, but he's also an excellent god just as far as self-peel is concerned. Mirage kind of had that issue early on where he wasn't able to clear out his jungle and safely get away if he looked for it, so now with the Camazots, he should be fine in the jungle.
Having 2 long-range poke abilities will certainly help him protect his own speed buff and more than likely secure it. Scotty and Soul going to get banned away from Noble. Kukulkan and Raw really focusing out MLC Stealth.
And I like that they waited until the second round of picks and bans before getting rid of the Kukulkan and the Raw from MLC Stealth. There's no reason for it to be banned in the first couple of picks, so I think that it was definitely good looks by Flashpoint. I wouldn't be surprised, though, to see Noble opting for Asilla.
It could be an option for Noble, but where's the setup? You're looking for the root from Erlong Shen. You're looking also at Ganesh to potentially knock somebody up in the air. Hu Yi, though, for Wowie, really trying to get off a lot of control in the jungle. Anubis, though, for Flashpoint.
That's just a Man Ray pick right there.
That's true.
That's just something that Man Ray is so keen to. And the AMC also for Sop. So they're looking for the individual aggression in the lanes. And in Flashpoint's defense, like their Giraffe so far, that's actually fairly solid as far as the laning phases are concerned. But this, again, kind of just leads me to want to lean more towards that Scylla selection. And it's going to be the Nox.
The Nox for MLC Stealth. It's a nice idea here because you can use that ultimate to initiate and mitigate the damage, right? The channeled ability from Anubis, the Plague Locust, will just be instantly negated from one ability from Nox that'll cover basically the whole wave and then some. But the draft from Flashpoint, how are you feeling about this non-mobile draft between Anubis and Moose and Crab?
I mean, that is my main concern for Flashpoint, is that it was looking solid with the Bologna, Fafnir, Camazots. I'm like, okay, great, let's go. But locking in that Anubis and the AMC, I just don't see how outside of the laning phase this really works out super well for Flashpoint, just because there's so much slow and hard CC potential on the side of Noble that if Anubis or AMC get caught out at any point, they're kind of just dead. And that's the kind of draft from Noble. Like, you've got a Robin and an Erlong. Those gods love just face tanking your damage.
Aquarius can use that Mystic Rush to get into the backline, while Skeleton can throw those javelins from a distance just to try to shut down some of these immobile gods. Stealth gets these 2 speed buff little ogres, while we're seeing an invade on the big one here from Mirage and Man Ray after they clear the mid wave. But to respond to this, Aquarius and Skeleton, they recognize what's going to happen, so they just clear out the soul lane and look for the counter invade.
And this is what I wanted to see from Flashpoint in game number 1 when they were initially invaded by Noble, was to just respond by immediately going for the speed and blue buff of Noble, because you know that you're typically going to be able to safely secure that. They could get caught out here, though, for risking those fire elementals.
It looks like Skeleton's just going to be able to turtle form away. Man Ray sitting at level 2. Not sure if he put a point into his stun quite yet or not, but not going to find that opportunity quite yet. We're going to see Flashpoint even trying to go for these oracles here. A good amount of damage from them, but it's going to get split here.
And I think already this has gone significantly better for Flashpoint. Not really any sort of lead established either way, but at the very least, things are even.
Well, Walrus gets his blue, Mirage gets his speed. All things positive looking for Flashpoint in game number 2 as they're trying to get their first win in the SPL. They're still guaranteed to go to relegations as a last-seeded North American team, but still a lot of learning potential game after game.
Well, we saw yesterday in the side of EU where Burrito GG managed to acquire their first win of the split, so the same possibility is definitely still on the table for Flashpoint.
Absolutely. They're still being led here by ShadowQ that has so much experience in the SPL. Former teammate of mine and a great theory crafter. And I was talking about that actually last game of just his ability to just take the numbers and really analyze and dissect them every single time. Walrus trying to box out Aquarius, getting the better end of it this time around, really trying to avenge himself for getting soloed that last game.
I can't blame Walrus either. I mean, I don't blame him for getting soloed for starters, just because there's not much you can do when you're 2 levels behind the enemy solo.
Skilladon trying to make the rotation here, trying to alleviate a little bit of pressure for Aquarius that's getting poked down to less than half health, but sitting at level 4, needs to find that level 5 play before he wants to commit towards Walrus, so he's just going to back to base, try to finish off those boots here, sitting at tier 2 currently, not too much mobility compared to the Camazotz.
It's interesting, though, how Walrus still has yet to hit level 5, despite his team securing his own buffs. I guess that's mostly because he missed out on his blue buff experience in comparison to Aquarius, who was able to get the XP from both the speed and blue. Especially
considering Walrus was getting that solo farm in the first wave in the solo lane, so either way, still catching up after those Fire Giant Elementals. That's what you kind of want to do in the solo lane. If you sacrifice 1 or 2 melee minions under your tower to secure yourselves those elementals, that's a net gain in the long run.
And I'm sure that Mirage is somebody else who's also very happy. Mirage, Man Ray on the other hand, could be in a decent bit of trouble.
Great stun from Man Ray, ultimate from Stealth, not on the mark. Stealth's forced to retreat away. Man Ray had to connect with that stun on the Mink form, because if the Mink form connects, now you not only are you getting the attack speed, but you're also getting that Fatalis effect once you hit an enemy god, which would have allowed Skilladon to potentially dive that tier 1 tower.
And this could be a little bit too ambitious for Mirage and Walrus as they're trying to get out of this scenario between Noble, but the damage is just flying everywhere.
The Dharmic Pillars are going to zone Flashpoint away from going further into that speed buff. Nice little use of the dash from MLC Stealth, just hiding into his ally, but it's actually Walrus just in no man's land alone.
And right now, Mirage is just doing everything he can to try and secure the speed buff for Walrus's life. He is going to lock that one away, but Chase is on from Skilladon.
4 minutes, self-sacrifice, first blood bounty going towards Noble, but getting the speed buff. I don't know if that was necessarily worth it here. Flashpoint, they were able to secure that one, but Walrus losing his life.
I think that Walrus had the mentality to just zone away and hopefully his team would follow him up, but they didn't seem interested in fighting alongside of him. Man Ray just with a cheeky stun onto Skilly, seeing he can panic a little bit, but Noble want this invade.
Mirage, that he secures his own speed buff as well. Sops is using the beads just to avoid some of the slow against Wowie, and that's one of the advantages that Wowie's going to have this whole entire laning phase. He can just easily initiate or disengage with his jump.
He's got to be really careful, though, because if he engages with the jump, AMC can turn and burn. He's probably one of the few hunters that can actually punish a ADC for playing a little bit too aggressive, just because he has his ultimate, and if he's able to pick up his Stinger again, you're probably toast.
It's a high damage nuke ability and high damage onto the members out of Noble here. Skilladon is forced to retreat here. The ultimate from Man Ray is not going to reach anyone there, so Stealth yet again using that dash onto Skilladon as another form of escape. So already, I like the pressure from Flashpoint compared to the first game.
Look at all the actives being burned, though, on both teams. That's pretty insane. The only person who hasn't used theirs yet is Wowie.
Wowie hasn't really been needing to. He's just been quietly farming, similar to the first game, except that he's forcing the beads out of Sops. And that's what you can kind of do against an Amusin Cobb, especially if you can catch him coming from the rotation back from the jungle into his lane. You're always looking for clearing a wave, hide in the jungle. You're creating that little bit of a diversion where you're confusing them in the communications, and not only that, you can look for just some poke.
You can tell, though, that these fights are significantly better for Flashpoint just because Noble aren't just doing whatever the hell they want this game. Flashpoint's actually contesting and being very consistent with their follow-ups for the most part. Minus that little skirmish at the speed buff where we saw Walrus die. Speaking of dying, Wubbin forced into his Dharmic Pillars already.
Trying to get off a little bit of damage onto Sops, but like you were mentioning before, the damage from a Musenkop must be respected. Even with the Honey only being at level 1 here, trying to max out the second ability instead, you're looking for that lane clear potential from Noble instead of really engaging onto Sops. You have to kind of wait for this Musenkap to rotate before you go on him.
And speaking of rotating, it's going to be Walrus just getting absolutely deleted.
Hello?
MLC Stealth from downtown just dropping the ultimate like, what's up, pal?
I didn't even see him rotate on the map, but I saw his ultimate, that's for sure. And definitely seeing his ultimate as Walrus here. Second death in the game, and for his team, not able to really make an impact here. 2 levels behind Aquarius.
Again, it just all falls back to that spill he took near the speed buff for Noble, just trying to zone away those guys so that way Mirage could pick up the speed. But at the expense of your life and so early on, that just gave all the pressure that he had against Aquarius back to Aquarius. And now, yet again, he finds himself in this position where he's 1.5, 2 levels behind.
And this will eventually start trickling down towards affecting Man Ray and Sops, because if there's a soul laner that gets ahead, now these immobile mages and hunters are going to be really feeling the pain once Aquarius starts rotating.
And it's going to be another Gold Fury rush by the side of Noble. They're forcing out the Suns. Dharmic Pillars are good to go. Sops trying to contest, but it's already been dropped.
Noble secure, Stealth able to do that one. Wubben, though, in a lot of trouble. He will get eliminated. Nice little rotation from all the members of Flashpoint, so at least responding with 1 kill in return. The question is, can they get any more? In the right-hand side, seems that speed buff might have been stolen away. It was actually from Aquarius.
Everybody already backed off, and that was the big thing. Noble had such a solid disengage there that Flashpoint didn't really have much else that they could do. They killed Wubben, but, I mean, support for Gold Fury, they'll take that all day long.
Every single time. They would have done it a little quicker, I think, if Wubben wasn't the first person to hit the Gold Fury. If he kept it inside the Dharmic Pillars, the whole point of it is you drop the ultimate, you leash the Gold Fury along the line, and you're trying to really burn it. But because Wubben leashed the Gold Fury first, he tried to zone at the same time, and because his back was turned towards the Gold Fury, he didn't really realize what he was doing.
It happens sometimes, but all around, really solid by Noble to recognize it and just still commit to that goal so they don't lose the objective. And the best part is, they completed that Gold Fury so early that Flashpoint can't even respond with a Portal Demon attempt.
Not at all. It will spawn here for the first time in about 1 minute's time, as well as despawning any further Fire Giant Elementals. That's going to be a lot of gold lost potentially from both of these Soul Laners, and Walrus more comeback potential as he's now still struggling, sitting at level 9 compared to Aquarius that's at 11 here, looking like he's trying to finish off that Gladiator Shield.
And again, I wouldn't be surprised if Aquarius did opt for this Gladiator Shield, since it works so in hand with Robin's ability, just having that little bit of a heal, especially when you're only interested in boxing and chasing down. And for Walrus, if he's opting into the Breastplate of Valor, he's not going to have as much boxing potential, even though it is a Bologna.
Absolutely. I think more it might be even the Hydronemia line, depending on what he wants to do here. Still trying to box out, and it's a little bit of a bait tactic as Mirage has made the rotation. We're going to see a lot of damage in the duel lane. Sops gets eliminated. That's what happens when a Musenkap just goes inside the jungle and gets caught out of position.
He even tried to use his beads there, but it didn't help him out. Now he's just going to be down beads, and Skeledon will probably gank that lane all day long.
It's what you got to do, right? You have 3 different forms of CCs between your taunt, your root, a knockup, or even going into the Fatalis effect with the Mink. I love what Walrus is doing here, baiting Aquarius even more to allow Mirage to make this rotation, but nice overhead kick, avoiding the first ability from Mirage, and then just juking out the second one. No need to worry if you're Aquarius.
Avoided the bludgeon, avoided the damage from Camazotz, just all around pretty solid play from Aquarius. He's been doing an excellent job in both of these games so far.
And while he's also avoiding these abilities with overhead kick, he's also gaining some health back and the mana off of the passive from that Gladiator Shield, being able to really fully utilize it here from Aquarius. Noble sitting really pretty here at about a 2,000 goal lead, but not sitting pretty as Sops.
Look at that damage that Wubben just put onto him, and there's no way he avoids this from Wowie. That was so much damage because of the Dharmic Pillars.
Just look at the wards here on the side of Noble on the left-hand side. A nice little triangular formation. No wards at all if you're Flashpoint. And if you're playing on a Musenkap in the duel lane and you don't have any vision, you're just kind of asking to get ganked.
He does have his hives, however, and those hives can work as a ward potential, but that's not going to matter. And what also might not matter for Flashpoint is trying to disengage. Man-Ray's looking for the burn, but now Skeleton's just going to chase him down.
Skeleton trying to chase it down, but Mirage is just more content about getting his own speed, but while Walrus is caught between a rock and a hard place, no ultimate for him as he used it to initiate, and yet again, the third death on this Soul Laner, just really trying to force the issue a little too hard.
And Mirage, I don't think that he has any contest, unfortunately, for a Camazotz. That is all single target damage.
Not able to survive that one despite having the hide enemy in line. It's just looking so good here if you're Noble. Despite not having the same kind of momentum compared to that first game, they're still making the plays happen. They're really punishing these over-aggressive rotations from Walrus.
And I have to respect Flashpoint for taking the initiative to try and play the aggressive stance, because when you just finish getting bodied in one game, it's very easy to just kind of roll over and die in the second. But I think that Flashpoint are doing an excellent job by trying to combat this with the initial look and aggression. That's kind of what you have to do when you have such a mobile gods like AMC, like Anubis. You just need to immediately burn whoever it is that you're going on and hope that there's no response.
And trying to get to that mid to late game where Musencab and Anubis will truly shine, but the question is, can Flashpoint stop Noble from getting all these objectives? The first game, it was all Noble all the time, getting all the Gold Furies, all the Portal Demons. There was just no response from Flashpoint, but this time, Flashpoint are getting some kills in return. They're feeling frisky sometimes with some of their speed buff invades, and I wouldn't be surprised here if they start making some rotations, trying to alleviate the pressure onto Sops.
And I think that's one thing that they really need to keep in mind, is that Sops is probably taking the hardest hits here for his team, because not only are they losing that global gold from these objectives like the Gold Fury and the Portal Demon, but Sops is also just getting straight up bullied, and I mean cyber bullied in the way that he's just always had somebody else in that lane.
Getting cyberbullied is Mirage as Aquarius takes him out alongside Skeleton. This jungle solo combination from Noble, these two new additions have been really working out for Stealth, Wellbin, and Wowie.
Oh, it's been absolutely great. And I think a big thing here for Skeleton is that he's just playing these utility-based gods like Najah, for instance. Even when he plays the Najah, he still plays Najah in a way that's a little bit more utility, and that he just looks for the beads ult, and every single time that he's able to find it, he's just burning that active.
He's evolved so much here since the beginning of his SPL career. Skeleton is going to take a little bit of poke onto that tier 1 tower, but dealing back more in return, 50% health taken away onto that solo tower. So a nice little tactic from Noble, just buying some time. It's going to allow Aquarius to still play relatively aggressive on the right-hand side. But keep in mind, anytime there's a death on the right-hand side, Mirage is going to get some of benefits with the passive of the pool.
And the thing is that Aquarius isn't even opting for a bracer like we've been so accustomed to seeing. He's actually looking for the Sunder. So whoever MLC or Wowie is trying to blow up, even Skeely, he's really just allowing his team to just keep applying that significant amounts of damage.
Well, there's burst damage on both sides, especially if Nox can confirm the Silence Root combination. Maybe he might be relying on Wubin or Skeleton to set him up, but that's going to be a nice important team aspect for Noble to start grouping up. Once they have the items that they're really looking for, probably going to be that Spear of Desolation for Stealth. That's still opting for more stacking items. Book of Thoth sitting at 20 stacks right now.
And I believe that's also Walrus trying to build into a Wing Blade, get a little bit of mobility going so he doesn't get burned all at once from MLC Stealth should he be caught in the silence.
Not only that, you're also looking to get away from Aquarius, or the Suns maybe even from Wowie. A lot of slow options from Noble. Flashpoint, you need to figure out a way to stop this Gold Fury. Dharmic Pillars are going to be used, leashing it right to the line. Shadowq trying to get in there. Suns being used by Wowie. Nice little route onto Shadowq. Not able to really get into that one. Second Gold Fury going in the way of Noble.
And it's going to be Camazotz going up into the air. Mirage trying to find a return kill. Man-Ray's doing the helicopter with the laser, but it's not even going to matter.
It was a nice little easy target for Stealth to connect onto Man-Ray. Second death will be onto Walrus after that engagement. This time, Noble secured the Gold Fury again, but lose nobody in the process. In fact, they get 2 kills to add to the column.
And that's kind of just the downside of Anubis. He's really the only god there with steal potential on the side of Flashpoint during these objective contests, because everybody else else is single target burst. They can't afford to go into the 4-man, 5-man strong team of Noble and safely look to steal that objective away.
And Man Ray can't even be safe using his ultimate anytime because that's just going to set up Stealth's ultimate very easily. Skilladon is baiting himself to allow Aquarius to get the kill onto Mirage. There's nowhere for him to go without that ultimate, without any relics as well. Going for the blink as his second relic is not going to be able to get away from that one once you're in combat.
You kind of just got to see the protections from shifters come into play as well as he's just getting bopped away by Mirage. He just did not care at all, really just permitting as much time as possible for Aquarius to rotate over.
You know, 70 power is nice, but, you know, 70 protections or so is even better when you're that low, especially if you're playing a god such as Erlang Shen that has so much bait potential between his ultimate giving you back health, the turtle form giving you back that health shield that you're really looking forward to, and like you were mentioning before, Skilladon playing this utility-style jungler just goes to show how valuable of an asset he is to Noble.
Trying to keep things going as well by picking up the Ritual Dagger. This isn't something that I would necessarily anticipate considering his active choices were a Beads and the Bracer, but considering the cooldown reduction on this item, I think that that's mostly what he's looking for. It does provide you with a little bit of health as well, and I guess if you're having the passive effect of your Beads being activated for so much longer, that could also be helpful as far as diving this backline of Flashpoint.
Solo lane, a lot of attention onto Walrus yet again. Forced to use that Eagles rally defensively just to keep his tier 1 tower alive for a little bit longer. I like the idea of the rotation from Noble because the Gopher is still down the left-hand side for another 3 minutes, so there's no real risk by going on the right.
Skilladon just forced out Mirage's ult by using his
Hello?
variant form, and MLC Stealth just deleted Walrus yet again. I mean, there's 3 members over there in the solo lane for Noble, so it doesn't really surprise me too much that Walrus died, but just so unfortunate for this solo laner from Flashpoint. He's just having an incredibly rough time staying alive.
And there's no wards from Flashpoint on the right-hand side. Not behind the Fire Giant, not in front, not around those mid-Harpies. So Noble are just positioning themselves so easily anywhere they really want to. It's also because they built themselves a little bit of a goalie to be able to do this kind of a style. But either way, when you see 3 people in your lane, you just got to give up the tower. It's not worth it.
Well, it's looking like Flashpoint's about to give up the Portal Demon as there's just complete zonage from Noble, and that's free as day.
That's going to be another free objective for Noble. No possible contest from Flashpoint to stop it. 17.5 minutes in, still up 11,000 experience, 7,000 gold to boot, and Stealth sitting pretty with this level 16 Nox, now finishing off that Spirit of Desolation, trying to finish off those stacks.
There was a little bit of a bite back from Flashpoint at the initial starting point of the game, which I really liked. But over time, things kind of just started to fall further and further behind for Flashpoint just because their draft just has such a hard time fighting into this AoE composition.
It just seems to me that Flashpoint are a little discombobulated as they're not trying to, they're making some plays happen, but they're not committing towards it. Walrus sacrificed himself at 4 minutes to allow Flashpoint to get that speed buff invaded. Then since then, he's been punished every single time, and Sobs is going to get punished as he's getting dove under his own tier 2 tower. Stealth and Wubbin right around the corner. Ultimate going to connect from a distance. Darming Pillars just for good measures, and see you later, Sops.
And that just goes to show the problems with AMC, and what should happen to AMC anytime he's in the duo lane is that commit. Skilladon, though, a little bit low here. He's going to have to run away from Man Ray because the Anubis still does more than enough damage, but now it's Wubbin.
Mirage in a lot of trouble, barely juking the damage coming out of Wubbin, having to sacrifice their own tier 1 tower on the left-hand side without a Hunter. Very difficult to really defend these towers. Now it's going to be a 4-on-2 on the left-hand side. While Walrus is still on the right, we're going to see the back from Mirage, and Sops is still reviving.
Noble don't even want to pressure into this. They don't have to. If they don't need to take up any unnecessary risk right now. They have such a drastic lead yet again against Flashpoint that really all they need to focus on is continue securing objectives, look for the team fights and the picks if they present themselves, but if not, let's just go for the easy objective secures.
And Noble are looking really pretty to confirm this game as well. And if they secure this one, they're going to avoid the relegations. Very important game for them to close out. And they've taken every small unnecessary steps. They're not overstepping any of their boundaries. They have the Gold Fury. They ward around it. They're waiting for Flashpoint to get out of position, looking for these picks, and they know when they can calculate to dive any sort of tier 2 towers. And yet again, using this combination of the Dharmic Pillars and the Girdle Frenzy, trying to go for their third Gold Fury of the game.
And it's going to be Skilodon trying to play zone duty yet again, already forced into his ultimate, but he did get the heal available. Shell is going to be procced, and now it could be Mirage. You're in a bad place right now, man.
Doesn't have the ultimate, doesn't have a life either, as the beads are not available to him. Making the rotation is Aquarius, juking out some more abilities, and I think Noble are going to go for this Gold Fury once Shadowq's Draconic form does fade away.
They don't have a safe space in this game.
Not at all. There's just too much pressure from Noble in every aspect. It was like so easy to blow up Mirage. It's so easy to blow up Aquarius that was just zoning a little too far. But Noble secured the Gold Fury, the third one of the game.
Flashpoint just needs to continue pursuing this as long as possible. But MLC Stealth is just going to taxi out with Skilodon. Could be Wubbin though in a whole lot of danger. Shadowq got the stun.
He got the stun, setting up Walrus for a nice kill. Wowie though with a nice double tap tower. Not enough to take out the life of the Bologna, and Man Ray, for good measure, trying to find another kill onto Wowie, but at least they get more kills, right? You're looking for some of these objectives, you're not getting them. Well, what do? They're trying to chase them down on the tier 2 tower, which is going to probably allow at least a tier 1 mid, or is this going to be a Fire Giant?
They can't go for the Fire Giant because Man Ray already used his ultimate trying to secure that kill onto Wowie, so they won't have anywhere near enough damage to just close that one out.
5 on 3, and they're not going for any objective. If you're a Flashpoint here, if you're a Flashpoint fan, you got to be shaking your head here.
They should have pressured the T1 tower in mid. I think their primary concern and why they didn't is just because of the experience disadvantage that they're currently experiencing.
But even 5 on 3, though.
It's still so hard, though, and questionable because MLC could buy so much time for Noble, and with Skili and Wubbin spawning so soon, because they only had about 15 seconds on their death timers at that stage, so it's just safer to not look for that all-in just yet.
Not going to find any objective after those 2 kills. This Flashpoint still trying to get back into the game, and Waller is trying to escape the clutches out of Skilodon with the speed buff and that Fatalis effect. This Relic Dagger has been doing so much work here for Skilodon between the Relic cooldown reduction as well as the mobility, though. Skilodon going to get chased and locked down yet again, getting some more help from his ultimate. Man Ray not able to confirm the kill onto Aquarius. Being able to sustain a little bit longer here. Mystic Rush not available for him either, but Mirage, he wants to commit.
Oh, and there's no commit anymore from Sops as MLC Stealth just whacks him in the face, and now the silence is out onto Walrus, who also took a huge chunk of his health. Shadowq just trying to peel for his team right now.
Jumping in and finding a stun onto one. The slow Locust is going to be able to deter Noble for the time being, only losing Sops for Flashpoint, and they're very thankful for that because that could easily allow Noble to go for this Fire Giant if they found more than just that Hunter.
But I think losing Sops was also so devastating for Flashpoint because he's one of the only members on his team dealing enough damage to really combat into Noble.
He's level 18 of Musenkab that has so many items complete now for his team. He has that fully stacked Transcendence, which is a really nice boost of mana to be able to spam some of those abilities. You never really have to worry about mana issues with that item, especially on a god such as a Musenkab that's trying to get off those hives every single time.
The big thing there is that Flashpoint just really wanted to commit to that choke point, but they kind of forgot about the fact that MLC Stealth on Nox loves choke points.
Wow, we're trying to start up this Fire Giant here while the rest of his team is going to be looking to zone here. Dharmic Pillars is being used. Fire Giant very low here. The contest is being used by Flashpoint, but it will be confirmed by Wowie. The rest of Noble trying to find a kill onto Shadowq, doing a good job zoning, but he's going to probably sacrifice his life, not able to jump over that wall in time.
And for Shadowq, he lost his ultimate, and with his team being down 4v5 now, I can only imagine that Noble are going to look for at least one Phoenix secure here.
They're going to be able to at least get this tier 2 down on the right-hand side. Flashpoint want nothing to do with this, but Aquarius wants everything to do with Walrus. Walrus just kind of taunting Aquarius, standing still, realizing that no one else from Noble was going to follow up.
It could have potentially pressured the Phoenix there, but they don't want to take any unnecessary risk yet again, and for good reason. They've got a wave in the mid lane, so might as well knock down that T2 and acquire just a little bit more extra gold.
Getting those 2 towers gets them that 3,000 gold lead so far from the Fire Giant, but they're neglecting the tower on the left. They want to go for this Phoenix in the mid. Nice ultimate from Stealth, ultimate from Aquarius, trying to chase down Anubis, will secure it, as well as the middle Phoenix.
And there's nowhere for Man Ray to go. That's one of the downsides to the dog. He cannot run away. And now it's just going to open up the avenue for Noble to pressure out this right-hand Phoenix, and it's going to fall.
And the girdle with the damage amplification from Wubbin just melts that Phoenix, and melted as well as Walrus, barely able to go inside his fountain. Noble might be feeling frisky to go for this Titan, but there's still another Phoenix and tower, so it makes the Titan a little bit more tanky, more damaging, and Noble are doing the smart and safe thing by trying to get all these towers and Phoenixes off the board.
If Wubbin and Wowie weren't so poked out, I think they would commit, and now it's actually going to be Wubbin who went a little bit too ham. Mirage going to clean that one up with the bat out of hell.
Just not escaping in the same pathing, sacrificing the support, but for good measure, honestly. They got what they came for. They got these 2 Phoenixes. They still have Fire Giant around their waist for another 2 minutes or so. Not really too concerned for Noble.
A little over ambitious by Wubbin there. It was kind of an unnecessary doubt, but it's a death that he can afford to make right now, especially considering just how far ahead his team actually is.
And because of how far ahead they are, they're trying to go for these stacking items. Wubbin going for this Height of the Urchin, and we're seeing Wowie going for the Rage, and it's going to heavily benefit them as they're going to get some more of these kills here. Only needing 3 more stacks for Wowie to get that huge 20% crit amplification.
And again, this kind of just all relays back to the early game for Flashpoint. I think that they did a solid job for probably the first 7 minutes this time around, and that is an improvement. Even the small improvements are still improvements overall. I just think that in the long run, it was just too difficult to make the Anubis and AMC really stay alive. Noble just had that strong commit, especially for Sops in that duo lane. He just really couldn't escape.
Considering where Flashpoint stand thus far, though, in the SPL summer split, I'm not too concerned that they're trying some of these off-the-wall picks between the Anubis and the Musin Cobb. They want to really see how they can build their identity if they're going to be able to get out of relegations and head back into that fall split.
And it's always, I think that it's always solid just to try out these compositions in the real deal kind of runs, just because you want to see what works best for your team. If Man Ray just happens to have the best Anubis of 2017, I mean, this is the chance to try and find it out. But unfortunately, it just wasn't the case for them this time around.
Not at all. Noble are just taking advantage of it every single time. Man Ray sitting still with using 2 of his channeling abilities. Stealth just throws out the big ball of destruction, chunking away this health pool and the damage that Man Ray does after the fact. And Noble grouped up on the left-hand side, getting the last tower out of Flashpoint, extending this goal lead to beyond 18,000.
They still have a little bit of time left on that Fire Giant, so they just want to try and pressure out as much as possible.
Not able to really go in quite yet. Just waiting on the minions to eliminate some of this backdoor protection. Popping the Dharmic Pillars and the Girdles. Suns are even being used. Sob's being dove in the backline, but a nice stuff from Man Ray, turning the tide against Aquarius, taking him out, but still takes out Shadow Q in the process. Mirage trying to confuse the enemy as he dives the back.
And it's going to be Walrus again, just trying to stay alive. The same could be said for Skillet on Wubbin, but MLC Stealth just comes up huge. Destroys Sops.
Mirage, he blinked at the backline. He's trying to find Skillet on. He's going to miss the jump, but Mirage will finally confirm it, trying to dive the backline as well as Stealth, helping out his teammates. Man Ray with a nice little stun, not able to really find the kill onto Wubbin, but despite defending their left side Phoenix, they weren't defending their Titan less than half health. This gives a nice little window for Noble to be able to wait for the respawns or look for the end here.
Oh no, Man Ray taking not only a decent chunk of his health, but that was his beads. MLC Stealth and Wowie are just able to clean up that Phoenix, no problem.
10% health. The Titan's about to lose. Stealth gets intercepted. He tried to make the hero play with the ultimate, but Shadow Q read that one like a book. 3 members from Noble all are very low. Shadow Q, you can tell he wants to go in. He's screaming to his teammates to go in.
And it's going to be Fire Creep still in the mid lane. Flashpoint aren't out of the red zone just yet, but Aquarius is back. And that's more than enough for Noble to look to try and secure this mid Phoenix yet again.
Noble want to get these respawn Phoenixes here. Aquarius is the only healthy one here. You just got to be backing at this point if you're Noble. Like, there's such a thing as flirting with danger, and Noble are way past that line.
With the Titan being at 10%, health is really the main baiting situation here for Noble. You can tell they really wanted to try and look for the all-in there, but now they're playing it safe. They're going to be able to lock down this portal demon, I'm pretty sure, unless Walrus steals it away, but he's losing a little bit too much of his health.
Just only against Aquarius here. Portal demon will be stolen by a flashpoint, so this is going to prevent Noble from getting back into the Fire Giant position as quickly as they would have liked, and that's still going to stall out the game a little bit further. Flashpoint getting slight edge.
It's the little victories in life sometimes that can make all the difference. And I mean, whether or not Flashpoint end up losing this game, I like that they're still taking or having that drive to look for the slowdown potential towards Noble.
Doing a good job, at least. Noble, though, looking like they're on pace to find the victory here. ShadowQ, he's using the ultimate before he goes into the portal. He wants to stop this at all costs, and he might even try to steal this away with his AoE Coerce, diving the backline as Walrus, forcing the beats out of Wowie, Mirage forcing the Aegis out of Wowie instead, and now Aquarius is in a lot of trouble, but Wowie dies first.
All they wanted to do was kill the Hunter from Noble, and that's exactly what they were able to accomplish, but they've got the fire creeps on the left-hand side.
Stealth just threw a bomb at Sops' face. Walrus is forced to retreat. ShadowQ going to stun out for his soul laner to survive for the time being. Mirage going to find a slow onto Skilladon. Both Hunters dead so far, 4-on-4 in the time being. ShadowQ in a lot of trouble as he is going to fall. Man Ray actually was forced to back to defend that 10% health Titan from the left side fire minions.
But they tried to all in it, and now it just means that Noble is going to be able to recommit without Man Ray being there. Walrus got the TP in, but this is going to be a hard objective to steal.
Mirage and Walrus are here trying to defend this Fire Giant at all costs. Self is going to be able to take out that soul laner. Now it's only remaining is Mirage. He's going to retreat into safety, not wanting to sacrifice his own life as well. The members out of Noble are still a little too healthy, and there's just so much control here from Stealth. The silence and the root combination that beats itself for Mirage, but not wanting to take the risk. More valuable is defending that Titan.
Here's the downside though. Wowie is spawning into a Fire Giant buff. He won't have his actives available for another minute, but with the Titan being so low, I wouldn't be surprised to just see Noble rush down either the mid lane or even that left-hand side and just drop their ultimates on top of that Titan.
It's very important for Flashpoint to start warding very defensively in between the middle and the left, the middle and the right. You're looking at these little triangular funnels here right underneath those mid harpies. If you spot out the rotations from Noble, you can kind of have about a 10 to 15 second window of reaction time to really reposition your forces to stop the offensive efforts out of Noble.
But they have to fight outside of their base. They can't afford to take up a fight even on top of their Phoenixes because that's still too close for Noble to just rush everything down. And there's Skilladon already peeling away to this left-hand side. Noble just trying to split the team up as much as possible, really permitting themselves a whole lot of room to just try and create all this chaos and force down the Titans.
Skilladon's going to force Walrus and Man Ray on the left. It seems that Noble, they don't even want the mid Phoenix. They're going to wait for the left to respawn, instantly taking that one out. We're going to see a nice little stun from Man Ray onto Skilladon, but no pressure. It seems that Flashpoint are not going to try to force this outside. That's kind of what Noble are expecting, and they're just going to back off.
But the Titan didn't have any chance to regen.
That's true. Very nicely timed from Noble. It only regains its health once all three Phoenixes are back and up. Dharmic Pillars out of Wubbin trying to secure this victory. Diving the backline here will be Walrus, but at what efforts here? It's going to be a quick victory diving that Titan. Wow.
That is